Hello, everyone. My name is Gregory, and this is The View from Out Here. Well, 2025 is certainly coming in hot, wouldn't you say? I admit that I've been dragging my feet about posting an episode this week because this new golden age of America is barely 2 weeks old, and I'm over friggin' whelmed already. I know a lot of you are feeling that way too. At first, I thought it was me. I have mild cases of a few mental illnesses, and my resting pulse in response to being subjected to a barrage of cognitive dissonance producing BS is to assume that I'm the problem, that one or more of my mental challenges are flaring up again. Come to find out, it's not me, and if you needed the confirmation, it's not you either. Believe me, it's always encouraging to have what little remains of my sanity confirmed. This fire hose of chaos and misinformation that's coming at us is a piece of the puzzle that is Project 2025. It's intentional. Steve Bannon has actually named it. He calls it flooding the zone.
One strategy that has been employed to force through a radical agenda, it might be this one, first articulated by Steve Bannon all the way back in 2018. The Democrats don't matter, Bannon said. The real opposition is the media. And the way to deal with them is to flood the zone with stuff. He didn't say stuff, but you get the idea. Now, Steve Bannon was overstating the role of the media and understating the role of actual Democratic officials, but that flood the zone approach, that is something we have seen Trump do to great effect over the years. It's not that Trump is some kind of brilliant tactician, but on some level, Trump does seem to realize that the best way to avoid scrutiny is to simply do a whole lot of bad things all at once to keep everyone's attention divided. Something that we are seeing play out right now, today, this hour.
The object is to pummel legacy media with so much chaos and obvious misinformation that nobody can figure out what's actually happening. But there is a trail of breadcrumbs that can be followed, and it's not looking good. The list of people being fired this week is aimed at anyone whose job it is to hold anyone else accountable for illegal activities or corruption. That's a problem for the Trump organization because it's a criminal organization headed by a convicted felon. This week, it was 18 inspectors general and any of the Department of Justice prosecutors who were involved with the prosecution of violent January 6th insurrectionists, or anyone involved in Donald Trump's own felony convictions. One of the breadcrumbs that I'm picking up on is the strategy that the Trump and Magapublican Party are employing is to just do things. Just take charge and do whatever they want, legal or otherwise, and let anyone try to stop them. Sometimes someone will, and sometimes they won't. And Donald Trump is the perfect leader for the Magapublicans in that environment. It's a reasonable strategy because Donald Trump has been getting away with so much for so long that it is reasonable for the Magapublican Party to assume that that will continue. It's a simple equation. You do what works in the pursuit of your goals. But it's the goals that are a problem for me. The way the dump truck talks about diversity, equity, and inclusion, and woke, and his increasingly vicious demonization of the people coming into the country through the southern border, and even people like me. It's pretty clear that Magapublicans are attempting to make the United States a cisgendered, white supremacist, male Christian nationalist homeland. Now, we know a little something about that here in Oregon. That was exactly the plan for Oregon when we were admitted to the Union way back in 1859. It was February 14th, come to think of it. Anyway, for the next 100 years, white supremacy was encoded in our DNA. Since then, the worst of white supremacy has mainly migrated to northern Idaho and northeastern Washington. Although today we are a solidly blue state and in some ways relatively progressive, we are still as racist as, say, Alabama, Mississippi, or Arkansas. We're at least woke enough not to use the N-word in public. Ask any person of color here in Portland, if white supremacy is alive and well here, and they can tell you that it is. It is also more difficult for them to navigate because it's hard to tell who the racists are. It's not like they're wearing uniforms like they practically do in the South. Wait a minute, I need to walk that back a little. Some racists in Portland are wearing uniforms. I talked about that in my episode about defunding the police. But generally speaking, here in Oregon, we're at least a little more polite about our white supremacy. But even further, this new golden age of America is overtly coming from my community with their vitriol and their new laws focused on bathrooms, who can go into bathrooms, women's sports, drag queen story time, and gay marriage. This new golden age of America isn't for us. It's absolutely fixed on shoving us back into the closet. But they're not going to be able to erase us so easily this time because the internet and virtual private networks. Think about that for a minute. They might try to erase us, but as long as those two things exist, they're not going to be able to do so. I used to run a porn site called the Mahogany Mail. Now, even though I shut it down over 20 years ago, if you know how to do it, you can go back and look at it right now. Once you put something out there on the internet, it's there forever, and we're definitely there. We can't be erased anymore. Everyone by now is aware that they know someone who fits into one of those letters in the gay and lesbian alphabet. That's how we got this far. The fact is that we are as entrenched in the DNA of the United States as they are, and they're just going to have to find a way to live with reality. And so are we. In closing, expect the zone to continue to be flooded with bullshit. I know that it's intentional and is designed to confuse you about what is happening to us as I speak. It's designed to keep you in a state of fear and panic. And you know that when you're in a state of terror, you're not thinking clearly. You're not making the best decisions, and that's the point. Don't believe the hype. It's a sequel. Don't waste your attention on what the Magapublicans say and concentrate your attention on what they do. That will help us all to keep our eye on the ball that's actually in play. Take heart, my loves. The fat lady is nowhere in sight, and there's no microphone for her to step up to anyway. It's not over yet. I'm going to quote a movie here, The Best, Most Excellent Marigold Hotel. And if you haven't seen it yet, first of all, shame on you. And second, I'm almost done here, so put that on your to-do list for what you're going to do next. I'm serious. Don't worry. You can thank me later. You know where to find me. Here's how they wrap up that beautiful story. It'll all be okay in the end. And if it's not okay, that means that it's not the end. I want to thank you for hanging with me so far. And please take a second to like and subscribe with the buttons below. And if you want to support this channel, please do. Also have a look in the description below, because there's a bunch of cool stuff that I want you to know about, like the books that I wrote for you. There they are right there. Meanwhile, my name is Gregory, and this has been The View from Out Here. Much love.
Well,